Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in aviation right now, as you guys know. Stuff in the news, not good stuff with that Boeing 737 MAX. Hopefully, they'll get that straightened out real fast. That's a real shame. And if I didn't mention it when I came on here, I did a podcast this morning with Pilot to Pilot. Uh, I think his podcasts are available off of iTunes, and it was about an hour and 20 minutes long. He asked questions. It went really well. I probably spilled more beans than I should have, but hey, you know, what does it really matter in the end? It doesn't. But it was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed it. So if you get a chance, check out Pilot to Pilot. I think he does like a weekly type thing with people in the aviation industry and interviews them. Okay, Tim, the Challenger 300. We have been looking at different Challenger 300s over the past probably 6 months. The last one we looked at about 2 weeks ago. I put that up on a little Instagram story. Instagram guys saw pictures of it. It was beautiful, very nice interior. I really liked it. Nice looking airplane. And he liked it also. So that may very well happen now. If he gets it, and it's starting to look like it, the plan is he's going to take a couple of trips to Europe, and then the airplane will probably go into a long-term lease. I may get typed in it, I may not. That really depends on how much we actually use it. If it goes fairly quickly on a long-term lease, then whoever is flying it, their guys will fly it, and there won't be any reason for me to get typed. But it's a beautiful airplane. I was talking to a guy earlier today about that, a buddy of mine who actually flies one. And so if we do end up keeping and using it quite a bit, we'll probably trade back and forth crew usage, because they end up being short. They need some help occasionally. What I used to fly charter. I used to do primarily charter, and now it's all Part 91. I have not flown a charter trip. Probably it's been 2 years since I've done that. But the guy that I work for actually owned a charter company at one point, and that's how I ended up getting into this partnership. My favorite aviation saying, point the nose in the wind and go like hell. That's how you fly, If you're not running against the wind, you're not going to fly. Hello from Brazil? Oh, that's a long way. Hey, Blake, how you doing? Okay. Am I going to Oshkosh? Okay. People ask me that all the time. They ask if I'm going to Center Flint. I would love to, but I end up working, is what happens. I've been to Oshkosh once for about an hour. I ended up delivering an airplane there and ended up having to turn right around and leave. And I did the very same thing at Sun and Fun once. Had to turn around and leave also. Could not stay. I would love to do that. I think it would be a lot of fun. It would be a blast. And, anybody that's thinking about it, if you've got the time and money, I would do it. Absolutely. Let's see. Patrick Burke, thank you. Appreciate the coffee. I drink way too much coffee. I will drink a pot before 10 o'clock. I'm awful. I'll just drink it. And I'll get up at 4 a.m. and start drinking coffee until it's gone. I need to start regulating that. But the real surprise here, Patrick, is I did not realize this would work. If I could just get up here and communicate with you guys, I would be thrilled. I had no idea that was going to work. I was using something called OBS, what was it? Streamlab, and it looked like it was going to be perfect for what I wanted to do because I wanted to put some other stuff up. But for some reason, I just could not get the final piece of the puzzle in there to get it to work. But I hope to, because I want to start doing a weekly live stream is what I'd really like to do. Have I ever made an error that I regret? Boy, have I made some errors. And I'm not just talking about aviation. Yeah, I have missed some opportunities in aviation that I did not realize were such big opportunities. Uh, but you can't sit around and dwell on them. We just got to move forward. Uh, I've had a lot of fun in this career, really enjoyed it. Uh, what can I say? You know, everybody gets an opportunity if they don't realize an opportunity at some point. Some precautions you take to keep your medical. Well, N17KA, I'm sure, I'm assuming that's your N number. Uh, that's a very good question because let me tell you, and you guys that are pilots or want to be, you need to listen to this because even young guys lose their medical. So you need to be aware of that. You need to watch what you eat. You need to exercise. I'm bad about what I eat. I do exercise. I try to get it every day, on and on, because I literally would be a little porker if I did not. Um, that's my weakness, you know, cheeseburgers and sweets. You know, if there's a pie on the menu, you know, you have to tie me down to keep me from ordering it. Billy Laptop, man, I am blown away. Thanks. Uh, Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's so kind of you. I am just really touched by that. I, you know, when I started this, I never imagined that anybody would be willing to actually contribute to what I was doing. I just wanted to share with people the things that I saw and was able to do. Bryson, thanks. I appreciate it. Oh, you guys bought me a couple of pots of coffee, is what you did there. Some of the good stuff. Some of the, I don't have a preferred brand, but I do like the strong coffees. I like strong flavors. Uh, so starting off in the morning with a really strong cup of coffee, I love it. I really do. But what was I going to say? I was going to say something. Oh, well, I mean, I'll think about it eventually. Oh, back to the exercise. Yeah. And just because you're young doesn't mean you are going to avoid all the possible things that can happen to you. There are some things that can suddenly happen, like diabetes or something like that, that can end your career. And diabetes is one of those things, at least uh, I don't know which type it is, type 1, type 2, or 3, but with exercise and keeping your weight down, that you can forestall it for a period of time. And James, how do you say that? Muratori? Thank you. I appreciate it. Uh, hmm. Okay. That's a good question about FBOs. When I was talking about the pilot, he asked me about it also. And I'll tell you what I told him. I don't have a favorite, but I do have one huge pet peeve with FBOs. And that is when we pull up on the ramp, I absolutely hate to see them pulling the crew car up to the airplane. A number of times I've had FBOs pull the crew car up to the airplane right at the door, and the passenger car is nowhere in sight. I could care less about my car. What I want when I open that door and you say hello to these people is my concern is the passengers. I want their transportation to be there. I want them to get on and leave. I want it to be seamless. You know, help with getting their bags out, getting them going. They are the priority. If it weren't for those people, I wouldn't have a job. The line guys wouldn't have a job. There wouldn't be any reason to have an FBO there. So I want to see them taken care of because it's embarrassing if their car's not there, but the crew car is. And they're saying, oh, here's your car, Captain. You know, it's like, no, that's not what I want to see. Uh, but a lot of people are aware of that. You know, that's one of those things. Johnny, thanks. I appreciate that. Um, but as far as mom and pop, and the bigger ones, you know, the thing is, when you go into some of these small towns, it's a mom and pop. You don't have a choice. But as long as they have a way for us to get to lunch and back, and they can get a rental car brought out to the airport for the passengers, that's all I want. And I'm happy with that. I need to look up here where the camera is. Yeah. So does that answer the question? I hope it does. Do you have to learn how to? Oh, no, you don't have to learn how to swim to be a pilot. I think probably if you're in the Navy, you probably do. I did have one company that I worked for, um, and they had two permanent pilots, and I was the third guy that would fill in. And every year, we did an aeromedical and water survival class because they did a lot of flying across the ocean to Europe. I did all domestic stuff, but I still was required to take the course with them. And they would, it was really interesting. I'm glad I did it because I'll tell you a couple of things they did. One of the things was they put you in this uh, dunk chair. And it's floating on the water. You're strapped in with a 5-point harness, which is what we use. And they pull a pin, and at that point, the chair is just balancing, and you're in your uniform, basically. I was wearing a tie, street shoes, and all that, and it tips, and you go upside down under the water, and you have to release the harness and go out through the side and back up. Another thing we did was they put us all on the side of the pool, and they put a blinder on us, and they pushed us into the pool. I mean, they didn't like push, but off into the water, and you had your life jacket in your hand. And in the water with the blinder on, you had to put the life jacket on and inflate it. And then there was a life raft inflated in the pool, and you had to find it, organize, get everybody there, and work to get everybody on the raft before you could take your blinders off. It was as you did a night ditching. And it was really an experience. It was a very good learning experience because one thing that I had not thought about in that situation is how fast you get worn out because you're moving around with your street clothes on, which are very heavy. And then when you get to the life raft, I mean, it's a challenge to get up and over in it because it's flexible and you've got this other weight on you. And then after you're in, you're helping other people in, and it'll wear you out. So it takes some teamwork. It did, but it was a very good experience. But you don't have to learn how to swim to be a pilot. No. Martin, thank you. I appreciate that. That is really kind of you. I hope I did not miss anybody while I was talking because this slides by as I'm talking to you guys. Nacho Capistran, thank you. I appreciate that. How large is the corporate aviation market at Spirit? It used to be much larger. We used to have the beer company there. They had a pretty good fleet. It was Anheuser-Busch, and then they got bought out. And then we had another large company, flight department, they got bought out. And they went away. Person is there, they're pretty big. Monsanto, I think that company, I thought they just got bought. And I think they have found out that they are going to be doing something. We'll have to find out what happens with that. It's getting smaller, but that's like any place, where the money moves around to other towns and businesses and stuff like that. You got to go where the jobs are. And big economic centers are where a lot of the flight departments are located. If you look at Chicago Midway, Teterboro, Dallas Love, Addison, oh my boy, they're just popping with corporate aircraft and corporate flight departments. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, they got bought by Bayer. That's right. That's what I had heard. Yeah, that's a bummer. Any tips to a student pilot about to take the written exam? If you're about to, I can't tell you to study because it's probably too late. No, just relax, and take the exam. And you'll probably do fine. If you don't, then study again what you did badly on and retake it. Let's see. Math study thing. God, I'm not sure I understand that one. Do you see general or business aviation growing in the U.S.? If so, do you think it will distress commercial? Okay, that's a good question. Yes, I think it will. I think that in upper level airline management, they have always seen it as taking dollars from their business, and maybe it has, but I don't really think it hurts them in the long run because of the fact that the people who can afford to buy corporate jets, I'm sorry, I don't care how nice your first class is on your 737 or your 747, that's not good enough for them. They will always look for another means. That's not what they want. Their time is very valuable. And it's, I used to work for a guy, and we were talking about doing something, not the guy I work for now, but we were looking at the cost of doing a type of training, and he was a pilot also, and he was working out the expense of this, and the biggest part of it, the problem was the time it was going to take. And he was calculating his time at $2,000 an hour for an 8-hour day, and looking at what he was going to lose and putting that into the equation. So that kind of guy, like I said, he's not going to be flying first class. He's going to be on his own jet. South America, never been there, would like to go there. Any trips for Salina? Oh, I'm sure there are. Yeah, there is. I think about it. I think later this month we're going there, but that one's just going to be a pickup and right back out. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Steve. I really appreciate that. That's kind of you. Kinneberg, is that how you say that? Wow, I appreciate it. One thing I want to talk to you about, we're talking about the airlines and that, and what's going on with hiring and all that. The airlines are really in need of people right now, and they're taking people from the commuters, and they're also taking people from the corporate aviation part of the world. But I'm curious, what's going to happen in the future? Because if you look at aviation historically, as the technology has improved, they went from 5 people in an airplane: pilot, co-pilot, navigator, radio operator, flight engineer guy. And it seems like every 10 years, one of those got dropped off. They got rid of the navigator, that got rid of the radio operator, got rid of the engineer, brought it down to 2 pilots for airlines. And you got to wonder, where's the next step where they take one more guy out of the cockpit and leave a single pilot with the technology? Because I don't think they'll ever really go to totally AI flying the airplane. I could be wrong. I think if it does happen, the first people doing it will be military. I think where that will first happen, and you guys can years later say you were full of it, Jim, or I was right. The first passengers that are going to be flying an autonomous aircraft where there is no pilot in it are going to be military, wounded, coming off a battlefield. Somebody who's not going to say, I don't want to fly in that. They're not going to do it with passengers first. And that's where it'll start. And then it'll be, hey, the military has been doing this now for so many years. The technology has proven itself. But that jump from there to the commercial world, I don't know how they're going to make that jump. But if they do, I think that's how it's going to happen. It'll be a long time till it happens, though. How many hours did I have before becoming a corporate pilot? I don't know. Probably, I'm guessing 2,000 plus hours. Because when I started flying, actually, it was probably more than that. It was probably closer to 3,000. Because when I started flying, when I got into it, there was no hiring at all. It had completely stopped. And I ended up being a flight instructor for 4 years, got 2,000 hours doing that by itself. And there was just no hiring at all at that point. So it took me, quite a bit of time to jump. I know 2 guys, both I've flown with, a great job friends of mine, much younger. They ended up getting into jets with about 809 hours each because they managed to meet the right people, and the need was there. It was an opportunity, and they took advantage of the opportunity. It worked out very well for them. They're going to start a management company now. You see, Patrick Burke, you never can eliminate the human factor. I agree with you. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I personally don't think pilots should come out of there because computers do fail. Technology does fail. There's always a weakness in it that can be exploited. So I would prefer always to have a human pilot, but that's not my decision. I guarantee you that Boeing and Airbus are both working on it right now. It's a long. Let's see what we got. I think the military will use. Yep. I think you're right about the military. Yeah, they were already running the unmanned aerial systems, and yeah, absolutely. Back to Ocean Reef there. Oh, okay. Barry, thanks for that info. He says if you ever get back to Ocean Reef, there's a great Irish pub called Dylan's in Tavernier, which is about 8 miles south of Key Largo. Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. Wait, I may have been there. Is it across? That might be the place that is across the street from, I think it was a Marriott Courtyard, if it's the place I'm thinking about. Had really good food, but I love Irish pubs. Thanks, Heath. I appreciate it. I'd rather fly on an airplane with a human pilot also. What jobs did I have before aviation? Okay. I started working young, really young. And the job I had right before I learned to fly, I was working for a company called Electronics Boutique, and they had stores in malls. And these stores were selling home computers and software. And we had about 350 something stores. And I started off there part-time because I had been working in restaurants and I needed to get this job, and ended up operating the highest profit store in the company is what I did. And then I started learning to fly, and I at that point was an area manager for the company, and I told them, guys, I'm leaving. I'm going to be a pilot. And I ran off to be a pilot. So here I am. Let's see. Yeah, you're right. The public does fly. The flying public does vote with their dollars. That is absolutely right. But I think it's going to be a very gradual thing. It's going to be a very gradual thing with people slowly becoming accustomed to it, like they're doing now. I mean, there's so many things that people are accustomed to now that, 20 years ago, people, like what we're doing right this minute. 20 years ago, there were only very few people who could do video conferencing or something like that, or even thought it would turn into something. And look what we have now. Totally different world. You guys, you know what? It didn't come from Governor Moonbeam. That's not where this Captain Moonbeam thing came from. Let's see. Great Irish pub in Nashville. Haven't been to one in Nashville. I used to go to Nashville once or twice a week, and I have not gone now in about 3 years. I miss Nashville. I like Nashville. I've got some cousins. No, not cousins. I got a niece and a nephew there right now. Captain Moonbeam came originally. Well, this channel never started off as an aviation channel. It was never intended to do that. It was 10 years ago, and my daughter and I were just playing around with it, and we did some Christmas carols together that we made video of, and we figured out how to put them on YouTube for extended family to see what we were doing. And I actually put up a couple of 15-second clips of cockpit videos. And I think I put a couple of landing videos up, and then months later, I found out that they had like 10,000 views on it. And I thought, wow, people are actually interested in this stuff. And that's when I started putting stuff on it. But I never intended to do that. And the Captain Moonbeam was just a whimsical thing she and I did to put the videos up. That's all it was. Show hi, Floyd. Hey, Floyd, how you doing? I don't know what the show hide is, though. Huh. This is all new to me. And Ronaldo, good to see you here from Brazil. Good to see you. I'm kind of learning this, so I've got all this up here. I was going to do just 30 minutes. Uh, like I said, I normally do live videos on Instagram, live stories and stuff like that. But I really wanted to do it here also, but it's just not intuitive. So I've been trying to figure out how to do it. So I'm going to do more of these. I'd really like to do, like I said earlier, one a week, because that would be fantastic. And I'm working on another video also. I'm hoping to get it up at the end of this weekend, but had a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, work comes first. You got to take care of your job. What you're doing. Let's see. Oh, I bet there is a great Irish pub in Dublin. Mike and I went to an Irish pub in Las Vegas last weekend. We were down on the Strip, and what was the place? In New York, Nine Fine Irishmen. And sit outside and listen to the live music. We really enjoyed that. Kansas City. Yeah, I've been there a lot. Career transition to pilot at 37. Just passed private pilot license, ride through. Congratulations. It's a tough transition when you're older, because I did it. I started taking flying lessons when I was 28. I had a family of 4. And it really took some time and effort and sacrifice. We ended up having a family of 5. And we struggled for a long time. Because like I said, when I did that, the hiring was really depressed. It was very, very slow at that time. So good luck. I understand what you're having to go through there. Omaha guys flying down to Kansas City. Oh, that's a good cross country there. How many planes do I fly, and what plane do I like the most? Right now, since it looks like the M2 is gone, has been sold, I'm just flying the XL and the Sovereign. No, wait, no, not the Sovereign. I'm flying the XL and the Caravan, but the Caravan's down in Tampa. It'll be coming back soon, since it's starting to warm up here in the Midwest. And then I'll do some right seat work in a Citation 1. So right now, it's really just 2. Well, Alan, thank you. I appreciate that. He likes those overhead shots I started doing. When we took this airplane off an extended lease, and when it came, it actually had a little mount for a GoPro right up here. And I wouldn't have done that, because I know how expensive these interiors are. I would not have wanted to mar the interior. Somebody already did it, though. So I put a little GoPro in there looking down at the controls. The only problem with that is I can't use it to record audio, and the shot that it gets out the window is really bad, and that's because of the contrast in the outside lighting and the interior lighting in the cockpit. But it gets the controls real well, and then I switch back and forth. I've been having, like I mentioned last time I was actually talking, well, that was Instagram. So I've been having a problem with my audio. The problem I'm having with my audio is I've been recording it through the GoPro 6 or the 5. And there's a fitting that the cable goes into, and there's a little wiggle in there. And I think it's loosened something up. And it wouldn't be so bad if all I did was just did not record the audio. But when it does do that, it completely cut out my headset. And that is not acceptable. So I had to stop doing that. And I've got something else I'm doing now for recording the audio. It's a little more of a pain. But, I mean, I can't all of a sudden be out of the loop, and not hear. I apologize, guys. I've got to train myself to look right there. Look right there. And see, I'm seeing on this monitor right here. Okay. Focus on that. And then I can see what you're writing over here. You guys, she enjoyed watching your visit. Sorry about the cold. That's how we roll. You can't do anything about the cold in Iowa. gosh, no, it wasn't Iowa. It was, I went a little further north. I went up one year to Minnesota in a Beach King Air 350. And we, the next morning, had to go out and pre-flight that thing. It was -20 Fahrenheit. It was just so cold. I'd never been anywhere that cold. It was miserable. I'd go out there and I'd pre-flight for a few minutes and come back in and warm up and then go back out there. You know, it's miserable when it gets that cold. Yeah. Well, thanks. I appreciate that, Michael Machos, those moments on the ground. Not everybody cares for them, but I can't make everybody happy. So I just got to make what I can make. Love Aviation 44. It is high. It's expensive. I will be the first to say, guys, this is incredibly expensive. I feel for you. When I started flying, my first flying lessons were in a Cessna 152, and I think the aircraft rental was $35 an hour. Now, I thought that was expensive at the time. And, guys would tell me, oh, I remember when I did it and it was $20 an hour. Every generation later, it costs you more and more. But regardless of which generation it is, it's expensive. It always will be expensive. Unless you can somehow talk somebody else into paying for it, it hurts. It does. Especially, and what happens is once you get your ratings, for most people, like you get your commercial and your CFI, that's about all you can afford. Because when you start adding the type ratings for the larger aircraft, it's incredibly expensive. For me to go to initial in a Challenger 300 course, 18 days, it would by itself, the course would be $45,000. Then you add hotel, rental car, meals to that expense. You're talking about over $50,000 for an initial course in a Challenger 300. Then every year you do a recurrent. That's $24,000 plus expenses. So for the average person, the expense of the training at a certain point exceeds their ability to pay for it. And at that point, that's when employers start paying for the training. So in fact, when I was doing that podcast with Pilot to Pilot earlier today, that was one of the things we talked about, how in the early 90s, when the hiring was so bad, the airlines and the regionals had instituted these pay for train policies where you would have to pay like $10,000. You would sign a $10,000 contract, and if you left within a year, you would have to pay it back. Sometimes it was a prorated basis, sometimes it wasn't. And then other times, I had a friend at that time who had to pay for the training up front, and it was 737 training, and he did get typed, but there was no guarantee of actually getting hired on, and he didn't get hired. Fortunately, later he ended up getting hired by somebody else, but that really hurt him temporarily to put out that money and then not get hired after spending all that money. So, hey, Kim Loops Cruz, good to see you too. Let's see. O'Fallon Steve, there was a viewer comment in a recent video about you showing your exercising and eating. I actually like that. It's not like you're 25 and the reality when you have downtime is eat. That's right. That's one problem with this type of job, this lifestyle, is you tend to eat very well. It's paid for, and they expect you to, not eat every meal at McDonald's. So we go to a nice place for lunch, nice place for dinner, and it's hard to get the exercise in. So I just forced myself, like when I was in Las Vegas, the morning before we left, I exercised, and then every day there, I went down to the gym in the hotel and got on the treadmill. And Mike does too. Mike's even more furious at it. Mike goes at it like a machine. I mean, he is an exercise machine, and it's paid off for him. There are other guys that I've worked with that are like that. And it's not 100% guarantee that you're not going to eventually end up with a problem where you're going to lose your medical. But it's one of the few things that you can do. It'll definitely keep your blood pressure down and stave off a lot of other physical problems that would cause you to lose your medical. And it's not just the loss of your medical. It reduces the chance of you having a heart attack. So it's a lifestyle choice, but it's also kind of forced on you by the situation. And the situation is with some jobs, right now, I only have to have a medical once a year. Some jobs, it's every 6 months. If you're flying a jet 135 PIC, you've got to have a first class medical every 6 months. And with that medical, past a certain age, you're going to have an EKG every 12. So you really got to keep up with it, because you could easily fail that medical, fail an EKG. Things happen. So take care of yourself. Do what you can. Take care of yourself first, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people. I hate to say it like that, but that's the truth. The blue-headed kid. Yeah, we don't have a blue-headed kid now. We've got a pink-headed kid is what we got. Yeah, but she's in college right now. She's going to the community college here in town. Miss Moonbeam is doing well. I told her it was going to be 30 minutes. She was going to make dinner. I said, oh, no, give me 30 minutes. I think I got it. I can make this work. And I did. So off I went. So, guys, I've got to go eat dinner. I appreciate it. Everybody that showed up. I apologize that I couldn't catch all the comments as they came by. And I wish I could read that fast, and I can't. I'm just not smart enough for that. I'm not a speed reader. And next time I'm going to see if I can't stare at the camera there. Make that work. Okay, everybody, get your exercise. Take care of yourself. Be nice to everybody, and fly safe. Talk to you guys later. Now let's see if I can close this out, figure out how to do that. There we go.